Enfold Proactive Health Trust, Creating Safe Spaces, presents Demystifying Sexuality, a video series. Understanding the intersectionality of our identities and how these impact us. Presented by Mix Neeraja Sajan, social scientist, Deepika Bharadwaj, content development.
Hi, my name is Deepika and I am a gender studies scholar.
Hi, my name is Neeraja and I'm a social science researcher.
When we meet someone for the first time, this is usually how we introduce ourselves. We tell them our name or something about what we do. But is our identity only limited to our names and occupation? Or are there other aspects of our identity that define our experience of living in this world?
What we say are aspects of our identity are actually group identities in their own rights. When we focus on any one characteristic of our identity, we fail to take into account the other multiple identities that we inhabit, which also influence how we impact the world socially, economically, and politically.
For instance, we might think of ourselves and others as being either men or women or existing only within the gender binary. But by doing so, we exclude all those individuals who don't identify with the gender they were assigned at birth based on their physical sex characteristics. What are their lived experiences and how are they different from others whose gender identity is in alignment with the sex assigned to them? We won't know until we shift our focus from only a single axis of our identity. So, how do we explore how different identities are interconnected and interact with each other? Also, why is it important that we think about them?
A helpful framework is that of intersectionality. The term intersectionality has traveled all across, from academia to activist circles and organizations, and now has become something of a buzzword. But not many people are on the same page as to what the term intersectionality means or how the theory of intersectionality can be applied.
The term intersectionality was coined by an American lawyer, law professor, and civil rights activist Kimberly Crenshaw, who noted the differential ways in which the legal system in the United States treated African American women and the limitations in its anti-discrimination law. Crenshaw pointed us to the very unique experiences of discrimination a black woman faces in the United States, which were different from those of black men as well as white women. Using a simple analogy to an intersection, she argued that different aspects of a person's identity interact, overlap, and intersect with each other in unique ways that cause differential treatment for different individuals for a variety of reasons.
Though the term intersectionality was coined and understood against the backdrop of gender and race discrimination, it has now evolved to embrace the power dynamics of multiple identities around the world. In the Indian context, an intersectional framework is a useful way to understand the interaction of multiple identities such as gender, disability, sexuality, caste, class, tribe, geographical location, and to see how these influence how we are placed socially and politically, or what we call as our positionality. For instance, an act of violence against a woman might be seen as a form of gender based violence. But if the woman happens to be queer, trans, disabled, then the discrimination faced by that woman would be a result of not only discrimination against her gender, but also the discrimination against any identity she belongs to, which are discriminated against in the patriarchal society that we live in. To understand how this works, let's look at the example of two women who share all identities except that of sexuality. One is heterosexual and the other is queer. We can see, if we look closely, that their life experiences differ drastically. This goes to show how the difference in one identity can make a significant change in how life is experienced and how and where it can affect us.
A common disagreement when a crime against a Dalit woman occurs is the refusal to acknowledge it as a form of caste-based discrimination. The argument is always, what does caste have to do with it? Or, it is a gender-based violence and not caste-based violence. According to this argument, forms of oppression like sexism and casteism can't be present at the same time. Focusing only on one type of discrimination discounts the role multiple identities of an individual play in their everyday experience of oppression and privilege. Why do we need a lens of intersectionality to understand our life better? Well, while we might agree that all life experiences aren't the same and how we perceive them can be subjective, we might not always understand why they are different from others and what impact that difference can have in our lives.
Take the lockdown brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic, for example. Many institutions, educational institutions, moved their classes from an offline to an online platform. While this makes sense from a health perspective, let's look at what happened to some of these institutions and their students. Many institutions were not equipped to hold these online classes, did not have a budget to upgrade their systems, or have teachers who were digitally savvy. Many students did not have basic facilities such as a computer, a smartphone, or internet connectivity to join these online classes. The intersectionality of identities of these students belonging to a lower caste, or a lower economic class is important. Why caste? Because it is an irrefutable fact that many people belonging to a lower caste also belong to a lower economic class. And they are also people who are definitely and deliberately deprived of basic facilities just because of where they stand on the caste hierarchy.
Was this situation brought on by the lockdown? No. The lockdown exacerbated their vulnerabilities, which were already in place. This is how an intersectional lens can help us. While we look around us, we might not be able to see the reality in its entirety because we perceive it from our own subjective experiences. But having an intersectional lens makes us more equipped to see a situation from another person's perspective. It helps us understand the problems and intricacies that another individual might be going through, in turn making us more sensitive to other realities that we do not even realize we are a part of.
We realize how, directly or indirectly, we become part of the problem. How, knowingly or unknowingly, we might be contributing to the oppression of other people. But having an intersectional framework and understanding our own positionality can help us become part of the solution for these problems and make us more open and sensitive to realities other than our own. How do we incorporate and practice an intersectional framework or lens in our everyday life? The first step would be becoming aware of the need of an intersectional framework or lens in our life. The second step would involve introspection and also asking questions to understand a particular situation from multiple positionalities.
Let's say someone you know is with an abusive partner and hasn't been able to put an end to the abuse and leave the relationship. You might catch yourself asking, but why can't they just leave? Or ask for help? Why did they wait for so long? But if we try to put ourselves in their position, we might understand how difficult it is to just leave an abusive relationship. Instead of blaming the person enduring the abuse, we could ask ourselves, how does abuse manifest in relationships? What makes it so hard for survivors to leave?
We are often quick to provide a solution, to point out the correct course of action when we are talking about others' problems. But we most often fail to connect, to understand before we correct. No wonder then that most such advice and solutions provided by others are rejected by the affected, often at the expense of huge amounts of money when an organization, agency, or a government does it, when they forget to connect or to understand before they provide the solution. Wearing the intersectional lens opens up the socio emotional world of the people around us. It helps us understand each other better and to talk to each other in a better, more considerate, and open manner. This makes spaces where co creation is possible, where everybody's ideas and experiences are listened to and valued. Such listening, understanding, and valuing of each other's ideas and experiences helps us to build something beautiful together. A better world for all of us. Thank you.
This video is part of a series of videos and learning content aimed at addressing gender-based violence. These videos provide practitioner perspectives by professionals and experts in the field. We hope these videos generate further discussions with peers, family members, and teachers, encourage curiosity, and seed further research ideas in these domains. We gratefully acknowledge the following for their support: Gaurav Krishna, Keshav Rajendran, Ishwar Shankar, Mohan Ram, Clockwork Captions, Enfold Consultants, Ford Foundation. The copyright and other intellectual property rights in respect of this video belong exclusively to Enfold Proactive Health Trust, Enfold. Enfold licenses this video under the terms of Creative Commons License CC BY-NC-ND 4.0, the details of which can be found at https://creativecommonslicense.org/licenses/by-NC-ND/4.0/. Any use or reproduction of this video contrary to or in violation of the terms of the aforesaid Creative Commons license will be illegal, and Enfold reserves the right to take suitable action in respect thereof. Enfold also reserves the right to modify, terminate, or revoke the license granted as aforesaid, or otherwise exercise any and all rights in respect of its intellectual property without further notice, and the same shall be binding on the licensee or user or reader thereof. June 2021. Enfold Proactive Health Trust. www.enfoldindia.org. Contact info@enfoldindia.org. +91 99 000 94251. www.enfoldindia.org.